you guys out there. Thank you for watching. I don't know what happened, but it looks like the audio to the intro wasn't working, but it's okay. Go ahead and check out Christina's interview on YouTube and Facebook, the rest of it. I was basically playing last week. So therefore, go ahead and go check it out. Sorry that happened, but it's okay. We got a powerful show on tonight. Listen, it's going to be so off the chain. We have our first girlfriend talk, not girlfriend, okay? Girlfriend. That's when someone you can talk to about anything, laugh, joke, play around, you know what I mean? But they can be there for you during your difficult times. And we talk about things when we see each other that most people don't talk about on this platform, but guess what? We're going to talk about it. So get ready. I'm going to go ahead and bring my crew in. This is going to be an exciting show, guys. I see all of you out there. Wait a minute. Let me see. Let me call out some names. How about that? Okay, I have the Tavia. Of course, she's on her all the time. I have Adam. Hi, Adam. There you go, Shannon. Thank you, Auntie. My Auntie is out there. Hi, Tawana. I love you guys for joining us. I see that we're live on both platforms, YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching. Listen, send in your comments anyway. We're going to look at those comments because we want to hear what you have to say for our next girlfriend talk. So I'm so excited. I'm about to bring them in. This is so exciting. Girlfriend talk. Here they go. Hello. You guys, we have Chaundra in the house. We have Brandy in the house. And my sister, I don't know where she's at, y'all. She was just on here and it went goodbye. Listen, you don't know what you're going to get on Girlfriend Talk. But we'll bring her in when she come in. Until then, what's up, ladies?
Hello. I'm excited to be here.
I know. Go ahead, Brandy, since you're talking, introduce yourself. Tell them where you're from. Tell them a little bit about yourself that people won't even know.
Okay. My name is Brandy Garcia. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I met Brandy when I was church surfing. Tried tons of churches. Ended up wanting to be involved with the Grow Group. And Brandy's just great energy. I mean, she's fun to be around. Something that people may not know about me. I was in boxing for 5 years. That's pretty good. That was back in my golden days.
I didn't even know that. Now, that's not hilarious because I guess I won't mess with you, Brand. But I would not have known that.
Yeah, that was back then. I'm a changed woman. I'm in church now.
Hey, you got to kill yourself now. All right, tell them about yourself, Chaundra.
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm in the Thornton area. Have 2 kids here in the house, and then I have a bonus daughter in California. And they're 8, 15, and 23. I'm like, wait, let me get their ages right. Yes, and I'm excited to be here too.
Yes, I am very excited.
So it's school, so.
I know, because let me tell y'all something. Chaundra started with me a couple of years ago. It was 4 of us. So I'm so excited that although she's not on here, but she will be on here during Girlfriend Talk. So I'm very excited. We have great conversation. So this is going to be fun. And I literally picked these 3 because 1, they have a lot to talk about. 2, they're fun. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about things, but we're going to laugh. We're probably going to cry. I mean, it is what it is. But we're going to talk about things that people won't talk about. So the first topic that I'm about to boom. I'm about to boom. The topic I want to talk about, and it's dear to me because a lot of people talking about this topic, but I think people being biased or insensitive, or at the same time they have a lot of opinion. But let's bring in the facts according to the Word of God. And it breaks my heart to even mention this, but I'm going to mention it. You guys, the first thing I want to talk about is Kanye West. We know all this that's going on. You know, he went gospel, that Jesus is King album, his first album. He had a choir and he had a travel ministry at that time before the COVID. And recently you heard that he had a mental breakdown, and his wife did, talk about that, and she said some deep words, you know what I mean? And so Kanye, he was just basically tweeting, which I definitely believe his phone needs to be taken, but he was just tweeting and saying some things, and and honestly, when I saw it, I didn't immediately be like, what the world he doing? He needs to sit down, he needs to do this, because I seen people doing that. But honestly, he was just basically, venting, but in a way you can tell it's a mental health issue.
Yeah.
He had a breakdown. And this young man has been through a lot. He was in the industry, and Lord knows you in the industry in that capacity, you got bigger devils that you can't even handle. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, then two, his mom passed. A lot of things in his life happened. A lot of people that was his friends disconnected themselves from him. When Donald Trump came out, he supported him. So people in this society today, you can't support who you want to support before someone go down your throat and telling you what you should think and how you should think. No, you have your own mind. You should support who you want to support. I may not even agree with who you support and how you support it. So guys, with that being said, he wanted to go ahead and be a president. I mean, he wanted to be a candidate, whatever. That's not up to me to judge what he's doing. I mean, at this point, anybody can step up to play. God can use who you want to use. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you really want to go there, look at Paul. Paul was a murderer. You know what I mean? Look at David. He was too, and an adulterer. But God said, you're a man after my own heart, David. So with that being said, a lot of people tried to clown him on that. And honestly, I really believe he's dealing with some stuff. And so he did it. He backed out of it, whatever the case may be. We had so many people having a lot to say. But I want to talk about it, guys, on what you think about it. And I'm going to say what I think about it, but I want to talk about what you guys think about this whole mental health issue and Kanye West. What you think, Chaundra? You go ahead.
Yes, because there's something happening downstairs, and I don't know what it is. I just want it to be on.
Okay,
sorry, we are live, and there's people.
Our friends, go ahead. Our friends are listening. Y'all out there, can y'all hear us? Anyways, I'm super excited to see what y'all. Okay, come on, Misty, but go ahead.
Exactly. I haven't looked at as much about like the mental health and some of the recent stuff on Kanye. I was very intrigued when he first came out with his gospel album and he started spreading the word and, doing all these things. And I tried really hard not to judge. I think the first instinct was like, whatever. Yeah. And then I kind of started watching some of his videos. I started watching some of the interviews. And all I could think of was like, if one more person comes to the kingdom because of him and because of what he's professing to have changed in his life, like, who the heck am I to judge that? And who am I to judge him? Because his transformation or supposed transformation, whatever anybody wants to call it, that's between him and God as well. That's not for me to judge. And I think when I saw him like on Joel Osteen, and then I saw him on James Corbin, the airplane, that was so awesome. And I was like, this is amazing. I don't know his heart. I can't judge his heart. Yeah, I pray that he means what he says.
Exactly.
I have no clue. I will say, being a Christian hip hop music lover, Christian, pop, R&B, rap, the music's okay. I think there's a lot greater hip hop and rap Christian artists that have been working really hard for a lot of years. That,
favorite, by the way,
in my opinion, are a little better. And so it just makes me sad that he comes in and gets all this publicity when there's guys like Bizzle, Tadashi, Bizzle.
Yes. Tadashi, give him a shout out right there.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry, girl, he has been, his videos lately, what he is standing for, and I don't mean to change the subject, but Like, I mean, his music is fantastic, but you can just feel his heart with what he's doing. And it's like, that's the kind of thing that kind of upsets me a little bit, is that, like, I'm glad that Kanye is doing this. I'm happy for him, for his transform, whatever it is that's happening within him. But what I don't love is that his music is getting played and he's getting all this PR when there's this other group of artists over here who I think, truthfully, in my opinion, I just prefer their music more. And they're not getting played and they're not getting the publicity. And that makes me kind of sad. And he brings Justin Bieber on to sing with him instead of looking at the Christian hip hop industry and maybe bringing out one of these guys, like, that's just my opinion on that. But as far as the mental health, and I saw a few things on the presidency and things like that, and I was kind of like, I'm not too sure.
I think everybody was. I mean, well, I got a lot to say about that too. Yeah. Go ahead, Brandy. What you think, Chaundra? That's good, and I'm glad you mentioned even the Christian hip hop too, because I'm down with them 100%. A lot of people don't like Christian rap, and that's their whatever. That's your opinion, but I'm telling you, I can worship on a lot of those songs. I mean, seriously. Especially the 116 album. I See the Lord. That one, oh my goodness. So
guys are crushing it. Andy Mineo just released him and just put out a new song a couple days ago. It's
so
good.
There's a lot of songs, I mean, in the Christian hip hop that's real, and I don't let my son listen to anything. But anyway, I'm gonna stay on the Kanye, because I can watch I know, sorry. Jason, Tadashi Truth, all of them, they hardcore. But go ahead, Brandy, what you think?
To be honest, I liked old school Kanye. Like, I did like his music when he was, like, way back then, when he was rapping with Twista, and he really did have, it seemed like a heart for God. I think it all changed once his mom passed away, which was really sad. I mean, I can't speak for him, but that's just my opinion. It kind of, he did that song, Jesus Walks, and I loved that song. We would play that in the car all the time. And then I think after his mom passed away, he started having, this wasn't the first mental breakdown. It was just kind of, it was a pattern at that point. And I felt like he had more mental breakdowns. And then this one was just the newest mental breakdown that he had. I mean, he had it on stage at the VMAs many times. And I hope that he's genuine, because I liked him before his mom passed away. He did that song Jesus Walked at the very beginning, and then he kind of shifted and started calling himself Jesus, which I didn't agree with at all. There's only one Jesus. You can't mock that name and make it Jesus. And so that's kind of where I just started disliking him and separating myself with him and his music, and I just didn't like that, and I just wasn't a fan at that point. And then he just kind of after he was doing all of that, then he started shifting back into the gospel music. And so for me, I'm just like, how genuine is it? If you first started with God and then you kind of are calling yourself Jesus, and now you're trying to go back into the gospel and you're having a mental breakdown, it's kind of like he's having two legs on each side of the fence. And I just kind of don't know what side he's choosing. It's kind of like on his good days, he's about the gospel, and on his bad days, he just lets it unwind and he tells everyone how it is. And that's just how I feel about it.
So when he first came out with Jesus is King, I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of was like, now wait a minute, Kanye. You know what I mean? But I remember reading in Philippians 1, 12-18, and Paul at this time was in jail. And it was some people trying to mock, Christianity. Well, I should say mock the gospel. You know what I mean? And so he said, and Paul said it, he said, well, whether they for real or fake, if they're advancing the gospel on their own accord, I don't even care about that, as long as the gospel is being preached. I don't care who do it, even though they probably be doing it out of vain reasons, doing it mocking the gospel, whatever they trying to do, selfish reasons to gain money or whatever, the fame. He was like, it don't even matter. In Philippians 1, 12-18, he said, let them do it as long as the gospel is being preached and is being advanced. So therefore, God had to kind of check me with that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, all right, I don't know why he's doing it. I don't, that's not It's not me to judge him and mock what he's doing, because the Bible said you can tell by the fruit that they bear. So sooner or later, you know, whether it's fruit or some thorns, you're going to know what it is. You know what I mean? So you're going to be able to see by their fruit if it's of God. So it's not for me to say whether he was sincere or not. We have to check the fruit. And that's period. That's anybody. You can have a Christian that's sitting up in the church preaching the gospel, have a whole church, a choir, okay? I mean, preaching all over the world, and there's no fruit, you know? And hey, it's people out here that you would think that's walking in Christ and doing their thing. They one way in front of you, and at home, they raising Cain, okay? And so I just feel like it just depends. We just need to see the fruit and see what it looked like and give them opportunity. And I think what he was doing, you know, I have my own little opinion about calling it a church. You know what I mean? So that was my thing. You know, this may be just entertainment and a choir, but calling it a church, I just don't know. However, I have to say this, that with the mental illness side, that's a whole nother level now. Because now the Bible said you who are spiritual, restore such a one. And so he's now battling. These are some demons. This is the real, I mean, the man has went to a point where he called himself God. He had went to a point where he was mocking, you know, Jesus, as Brandy was just saying. He was at a point where he said he sold his soul. I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on. So now he's battling some stuff on a whole nother level, a whole nother plane. And so I feel like this mental breakdown, this is just not he's just tripping. It's just Kanye. He's flipping out. I feel like demons is after him. Like, who are you to think you finna get saved? You finna walk in God? I mean, making a mockery. And mental health is real. It's a lot of people in our community that mental health is like, oh, it's fine. You don't need to see a counselor. You don't need to do that. It's real. You need to seek some help. At the same time, you need some powerhouses in the church. You need the elders. They say, go to your elders. Whatever you need to do, you need to do it. And so with that, I'm not going to go there too long, but I just feel like it's bigger than that. And we just need to pray. Now, the presidency, you know, that's a... Calm down, Kanye, you know, but hey, God can use who he want to use, you know what I mean? And so, I you know, it just all depends. What you say, Chaundra?
Oh, I was just saying that's a whole nother.
I don't know about that, you know, but however, anything is possible.
There could be worse, though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That spiritual warfare is real, you know?
Warfare, exactly. And so I hear them out here saying, yes, a lot of great Christian kingdom rappers, and it is, you know. And like you were saying, Chaundra, how he brought people on. I think that a lot of the Justin Bieber, I know that he's also in a crossroad of his life. He wants this entertainment. Demons is real. There's spiritual warfare that we need to make sure when we're doing stuff, we able to withstand. We have to gird ourselves up, even us that's in the ministry. I mean, today I was like, oh my goodness, the network is not working. The enemy was on my back. So I was like, hey, y'all pray. You know what I mean? I was going through spiritual warfare before I was on. Right? Just imagine you're in the industry, everybody know you. There's witches up late at night praying on your downfall. There's witches that's assigned to you, just like there's angels assigned to you that can defeat the enemy, but you don't have to know how to activate it by faith and start praying and warring. You have to know how to pray. You know, and some things, these things come out through fasting and praying. There's some things that you just can't be like, oh, hallelujah, yes, Lord. No, you have to go straight to war and have your friends like pray. Come on, y'all, let's pray. And so, can you imagine what they dealing with?
Nope, not even in the industry. I can't. With all the money, all the fame, all the paparazzi, like I can't even imagine. I can't even handle my own life at home. I can't. It's too much for me.
I mean, facts. So yeah, go ahead, Chaundra. What's the topic? Come on.
What's what?
Let's go. What's the topic?
Oh, are we switching topics now?
Yeah. Talk about that. Let's go.
Let's go. I don't know. It's probably a whole nother show because I've been just seeing stuff on the whole trafficking thing, and that's a deep subject, so we might want to save that. I don't know. I just just seeing things like the desensitization might be a lighter way to just talk about it real quick.
No. Go ahead. We can talk about that because I have a lot to say about that too.
The books, the toys, the things that are just grooming kids, the things on TikTok and Snapchat that our kids think are okay and that parents aren't paying attention to. They just think it's a fun, cute app. And most of the time when I talk to parents and point things out and point out, like even on TikTok, the lyrics to some of the words that these kids are singing to, starting at like 6 and 7 years old. And I think that it's just so normalized. And I mean, it's I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very heart heavy with having, of course, kids myself, and then leading youth group. And one of my youth
there was something recently concerning that they're trying to make some things legal, and it's like they're trying to make certain things legal, even pertaining to kids. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, like they're calling it age fluidity. So like a 65-year-old man can marry a 6-year-old child in the United States, and that's okay. It's not considered pedophilia. It's just fine.
Because love is love. Is that what they're trying to say?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's just everything's accepted. Everything's okay. And I mean, I have youth group girls calling me, texting me at 2:00 in the morning because there's some creep on their Snapchat or on their TikTok wanting them to send pictures or wanting to meet up. And it's literally within seconds after. I have a friend who just let her 10-year-old get an Instagram account, and she's doing live videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh. It's scary. And I saw a man, and I looked at his profile, who commented on there, "You're very pretty. I'd like to get to know you better."
Wow.
And I don't think that some of it, I think parents are there are definitely your handful of just not good parents. But I think a lot of it is that parents just don't know. Like, you give your kid a smartphone and you think that it's fine. You don't know what they're doing. You don't look at what they're doing. They're just not paying attention.
Yeah.
Everything has to be monitored.
So I gotta say this, because this is a touchy subject, and this definitely probably gonna have to be a whole nother show. And I've never told my family this, and I know they're on here, okay? But okay, I was 16, and I was at the mall. Now when I say scary, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I don't even know if I ever said this out of my mouth I don't even know if I ever said this to anyone. I was at the mall, and you know how you at the mall and they looking for models. And at that time, I thought I was too cute. Yeah, I can be a model. I'm thin. That's model. And no, I was like 15, 16. And I remember the guy, he gave me his card, and it was a nice business card. You know what I mean? And he was clean. Okay, shop. We call it shop. When you clean. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And at that time, I did not have a lot of parenting. Okay, and that's a whole nother story. And I called the guy myself. But he did say, tell your parents. Okay, and it was at St. Louis Center. Back in St. Louis, y'all know that about St. Louis Center. And I called the guy. I didn't give it to my parents. Who was I going to give it to at that time? And so I called the guy. And he told me to meet him back at the St. Louis Center outside. And so I met him back at the St. Louis Center outside. And my friend's supposed to went with me at that time, Erica, but she didn't. And so I caught the bus, went down. I was 15, 16. And he told me, okay, we got this going on. We got that going on. We're going to take your pictures, and we're leaving for Kansas City, and this is what you'll be doing. So let me remind you, it was a whole conversation. He ended up giving me some money and everything to take care of you. We got to go to Kansas City to do a photo shoot. My family did not know this. They even told me, yeah, everybody, they knew about it being a model, like I was going to model, but they didn't know like everything. You know what I mean? And so the guy even met, I think one of my parents, I don't remember who it is. I went to Kansas City, y'all. And these guys was coming home to all of us. I'm in Kansas City, cannot get home. And it was basically a sex ring. And so I say this to say, I can't even remember like what I was thinking when I was in a room with an older man trying to sleep with me. Like, I was numb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, what do? Like, I'm gonna have to fight him. Like, I'm not doing it. So we just gonna have to fight in this hotel room. And they had a lot going on. And my sister, I believe it was my sister that called to check on me, and they said, no, she's a babysitter. I wasn't a babysitter, but I was going for modeling. And they lied and said, yeah, she's babysitting or something like that. And I never told my family how scared I was because I thought I was going to get in trouble. You know what I mean? And so it's a longer story to that.
And how long ago was that?
That was, I got to tell my age. Really?
How long ago it was?
It was like 20 years, over 20 years ago.
So imagine now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was pressured to do it and I didn't do it. And I met someone that was able to get me home.
That's good though.
I met a guy. I don't know. I was one of those kids that did what I wanted to do and I shouldn't. And it got me in a lot of trouble. Okay. And I met a guy, I remember to this day, and he was able to get me home. And so it was a lot of the girls, and they was broken girls. They go after girls that are broken. They go after girls like me that had a broken home. You know what I mean? At that point, I had some issues. And so what if, like I told the guy, I was like, we're going to fight before I do anything with you. Like, you going to kill me, I'm going to have to kill you. You know what I mean? And he let me go. He's like, get out of my room. And so I say that to say I found somebody to get me home. But what if it's so many little girls that don't have that mindset like me and like, this is my way out. And they was whining and dining and making sure. We never took no pictures. We didn't do none of that. They was taking girls to Kansas City and you end up in a sex ring. And so that's a long story. I can talk more about details in that story. I just kind of, half in it, but this is what happens. Tell you how pretty you are. That's how they came on to me at the mall. You can be a model.
And I don't even have to find you in person because they have all these platforms.
They have platforms. See, we didn't have all of that.
They're desensitizing and they're glorifying it. And it's just scary. Sorry, Brandy.
They just tell you what you want to hear,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But God's good, like with his discernment too, because there's been multiple situations that I've been in and somehow like he got me home safe. And I don't even know to this day why. Someone somewhere was in the right place at the right time. And it kind of goes back to Chaundra's trafficking and yours, Brandy. Like when I was at Walmart, and I think it was maybe like a year ago. It wasn't even that long ago. Me and my mom were looking for furniture for my new house. And we were there kind of late at Walmart around like, I want to say 9 o'clock. And there was a whole group of, I want to say like teenagers, maybe around, not teenagers, they're like 25 years old, but there was a whole group of like boys. And we were walking towards them and it was just a little bit weird. So I'm like, Mom, stay on my right side so I could protect you just in case. And he's like, hey, you want to go to a Bible study at my house? I was like, no, I have a church, thanks. And I kept walking, but that goes back to the trafficking. I don't know if you heard the story where the men will ask and they'll have recruiters that actually go and ask you to have a Bible study at their house, and they separate you from your daughter, your children, or your boyfriend, and they sell you to human trafficking. I didn't know that. And so they are using God as a platform in order to say they're having a Bible study and to separate you so that no one else can see or be a witness when you go there. And it's that discernment that I almost did, like, not this time, but I've been asked that maybe 3 times already. And so at Walmart, I told my mom about it and she's like, that's horrible. But it's just being educated on if you have a church, why are you asking me to go to Bible study if you're with 8 other men at 9:00 at night? It's just weird. And I didn't know that, and it was going around at our work as well, and they sent an email, and so it's just scary. And that just happened a year ago.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
they're like, is
probably with me, you know, we could have been separated at the same time. No one would have known a thing.
right. And they're desensitizing kids.
Yeah.
So kids don't see the danger in it by, like, I posted this on my Instagram the day before yesterday on that book called The Secret Pizza Party. If you haven't seen the video of the woman going through this book and seeing how dangerous and how scary it is, and it's a scholastic book, girls, a scholastic book. This has nothing to do with pizza. It's, oh, but we're not going to use the main stairs. We're going to use the secret staircase.
Oh,
and
that's scary.
With the secret staircase. And so far as even on one of the pages it said, and if we see your picture on a milk bottle, we will just celebrate because you're famous or something like that. Like, I am not kidding you. I wanted to vomit.
You're kidding.
I wish I was kidding. Yeah. And I think sometimes parents just don't look at stuff. They're not aware. They're like, we need to be wise as serpents. We need to be wise and praying for wisdom and just being open to it and seeing it and educating your kids.
Absolutely.
I let my daughter go play. We had some new neighbors that came in, moved in next door, and Karai wanted to have dinner and play over there. They were in the backyard most of the time, so I could see. They played several times. We had good conversations, but Karai wanted to stay after dinner in their house to play games. And so I said, okay, so Karai and I have a secret word. First of all, we have a password so that if anything happens, she can just call me and say whatever. And it's a word that she could use in a sentence, so the person next to her wouldn't even know that it's a code.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, Chaundra.
Yeah.
My son has even used it. He was at a friend's house and the boys started looking at inappropriate stuff, and he went in the bathroom. He's like, hey, Mom, do you have any of those blah, 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 the password? And I'm like, ooh, okay, so do you want me to come pick you up? Do you want me to call the mom? And he's like, probably the second one would be good. And I'm like, okay. So, and then
That's cool.
without him having to be like the dorky kid that, I mean, I want him to advocate for himself, but this was when he was like 10.
Yeah.
And you also have to, you know, so, but.
And look what you said, 10 years old. They start young looking at stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Young doing stuff. You don't have to be 17, 18.
Yeah.
And as young as 6 years old,
Yes.
seeing stuff that they should not be watching.
Absolutely. So
And
then,
it's
yeah, and I told the mom, I said, you know, I'm fine with her staying. Here's some of the rules we have. So she's in no bedrooms. We don't play in the bedrooms. First of all, bedrooms are for sleeping. So please don't. I don't know what your rules are, and you know, but we don't allow her to play in bedrooms ever. And no, she can't be anywhere where the doors can close.
right.
So doors are open.
No lights off. Don't turn off no lights.
Doors are open and no bedrooms and whatever. And
No
so
pizza.
oh my gosh. And my neighbor said, Chaundra, I would have never thought about that. She said, thank you, because that's not even, you know, and I don't, like I said, I don't think that it's necessarily bad parenting. It's just not knowing, not even thinking about it, because, you know, I have a background where I'm heightened to that. And so I'm very sensitive to it. We're very diligent with our kids. And some people aren't because they just don't know.
But you know what? The Bible says, be not ignorant of Satan's devices. And sometimes as Christians, we can be so dumb. We can be all over the place. We can, I mean, come on, God give us discernment. And like you just mentioned, be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. Use wisdom. Ask God for discernment. If you ask for anything, ask for discernment. Yeah, one of the things that we do as Christians when we get saved, we ain't never went through nothing and we don't know nothing. And so anything go, oh, that's fine. Billy is cool. No, Billy is not. You need to take care and make sure you're seeing things. The phone, oh, I have screen time. My son can't just be doing what he want to do. I know what's going on. I turn it off when I need to turn off. Your kids should not have devices and they just open when they on their phone all the time. They on YouTube.
And now there's education now about TikTok. So now Instagram has Reels, which is the same thing. and it's just as bad. And the words, the lyrics that these girls are singing, and they're just lip singing, and it looks like they're having fun and they're doing cute dances. But I would just literally.
That's where the perverts are at. They on there checking the words, doing a little boo bop on there. You're not gonna get it off on, not on this one. I'm not gonna allow you to. No. Okay, and so not trying to be funny. Hey, however your parent goes, but it's not up in here. You won't be getting that off because I know I've been through where older men trying to touch you and mess with you and doing something to you and waiting. Oh, I've seen her before, knowing where you live at. Your child walk down the street and they snatch you. You have to be well aware. You can't be ignorant of Satan devices.
You can't. You can't.
Yeah. And I know that y'all both have girls. I have boys. And not that they not targeting the boys, but you gotta look at
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they look at boys, but girls, it's like another level now. A majority of the missing kids are girls.
Yeah.
And that's what's sad is, like, I see in my neighborhood, I want to say she's like 8 and she just rides her bike wherever she pleases. I had never seen her parents with her, but me, like, that would not fly. And I don't know if it's because where I work and I'm like more of a helicopter mom, you know, just because of reading all these police reports. But a lot of these parents don't have an eye on their kids, and that's why things happen. Granted, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but it most likely happens when the parents are inside and they have no idea where their child is at and just kind of letting them ride around, which is, it's sad, you know. And
I had a lot of those creepers back in the day. That's why we ran in packs. We didn't run just one person. We ran in packs. All my cousins. You would have to have an army to fight all of us. We ran in packs. We went to the big girl in packs. We was together. We went to the store in packs. We just didn't go alone. We had somebody with us. Now, little girls, it just be 1 or 2 of them. You know what I mean? I had my big cousins with me, my younger cousins with me when we went somewhere. So we was never alone. And I think that's the problem. We just trusting kids to be outside doing anything. I mean, I'm not saying live in fear because God did not give us a spirit of fear, but we need to use wisdom in what we're doing. So I let my kids go outside, but you make sure you checking to know what's going on. And like you, Chaundra, you letting your kids a secret password. Make sure your kids know. If somebody pull up to you, some of the kids don't know what to do if somebody pull up.
Yeah.
I seen them say, hey, your mom's Chaundra, right? Yeah, I know this just happened and she told me to come get you and take you to your dad, Brian. I don't care how much they know about you. They do not know that code word. You scream, run, kick them, scratch them if you can, and run.
It can be family member. If I didn't tell you to go, why would you go?
Exactly, absolutely. Yep. 100%.
If I didn't tell you that they was coming to get you, don't you get in the car. I did a test on my son before. He didn't do it. My friend said he wouldn't get in the car. I did a test on him.
Did it work?
Yeah, he didn't get in the car. He knew better. What you got?
Because I've seen those What Would You Do shows.
Oh, yes, I love those. And they give them like, hey, let's go for a walk. And
yeah,
like my kid would never do that. And they do it.
Yeah, and the kids still do it because they forget already. So it's, yeah, I have to then trust, like, okay, I hope they remember that about it. Every time they leave the house, I have to say.
Yeah, and I think that we need to talk about that more because it's a lot going on with that. And that needs to be its own segment because I know a lady here that it's people here that actually, Christina Kane, it's people who fight.
Love her. Yes.
And they actually pull people from those trafficking rings. It's a lot of people out there that's really doing things. And Christina Kane, Christina, right? Christina Kane.
Christine, yeah. She does 25 ministries. And then there's also IJM, which we support. There's like 3 or 4 really good agencies that work to pull these.
Yeah. The human trafficking. Yeah. So on another note, let's see how people, they in here and listen to us talk. What y'all saying out there? What you saying?
Can you read it out loud? I want to see what they're saying.
I know. I wish we could see the stuff too.
Can y'all see that?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. You're a pastor or a family member, literally everybody. That's very true.
Absolutely.
Very, very true.
Let's see. Yeah, pray for discernment and wisdom.
Yes.
Shannon got angry. I know that's right.
I can see Shannon angry right now.
Yes.
That's true, though. It can be anyone. I mean, people that we trust, right? They earn your trust, and then that's how they kind of use it.
Yeah.
I posted a petition on my Facebook page for encouraging people to sign the petition to close down the trafficking in porn.
I did sign it.
To make them accountable. And I had a gentleman go on there and say, when did this become a thing? Like, he didn't even know that trafficking is happening. And then, like, I mean, even when you think of the strippers and everything, like they I don't think they want to be doing that. It's human slavery.
I mean, there's some people that do, because I mean, I've known people, you know, back in the day, like this is what they do. And it's some people that, you know, feel like this is all they can do.
Right.
And I want to speak to that young girl out there that feel like I have to do it. I have to sell my body in order to get what I want. Let me tell you something. God said you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous is the handiwork. I mean, God literally made you, created you, wrapped him, a piece of him in you. God, it's not for you to do that. That was used for the glory of God. Your body, everything you have was used for your husband when God gave it to you. It wasn't used for you to pervert yourself or to pervert it. He built you for him. You're beautiful. You don't have to do that. There's many ways that you can do it.
Yeah, and if you listen to women like Gretchen Foster talk and share her story, I'm not sure if either of you is familiar with her, but her story is so beautiful, the way that God delivered her. And it was just, I mean, sometimes when you go through stuff when you're young and you think you don't even realize, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this spot, and it's like, who am I? And the way that God, y'all watching, listening, if you have not heard of Gretchen Foster, I highly encourage you to go.
I've heard of her
story. She is an incredible woman who escaped it, and God spoke to her. And
now we have a ministry helping others.
And now, her ministry is incredible. She has a great podcast too. You should have her on here, and then she can have you on hers.
Start plugging that in.
I know. Hey, why not? It's all women, right?
I think that's like the best thing you could do, though, is raise a child up in Christ so that they will never depart, because their body is their temple. And like raising Drina up in Christ has like really helped both of our relationship like tremendously, you know, explaining why and having her be a leader, even in her school, even though she's going into second grade, the stuff that they're talking about, most kids don't even believe in God. And my baby's a little warrior. She's like, guess what? They have a sticker on their car. They believe in God and Jesus. My friend believes in God and Jesus. My friend believes in the devil, but it's okay, Mom. Like, we could talk about it. And just like from how young she is, like just having a good relationship, like for mother-daughter, explaining why and be a leader, and don't be influenced by the world around you. Like, be strong and stand up for what you believe in. I think that's like one of the best things that we could do. My mom raised me like that. I'm going to raise my child like that. And I hope that she raises my grandkids like that one day.
And that's all we can do, is do the best that we can do. And sometimes you look back, like my boss at Flatirons Church has 6 kids, and she parented each and every one of them the exact same way. She raised them all up in the Lord, and some of them went that way, and some of them didn't.
Anybody that have over 2 or 3,
we do the best we can. We pray for our children. I already started praying for my kids' future spouses. You know, like you have to think about those things. I had a woman who shared that with me and taught me that. I was like, what? But I think Daniel was like 9 or 10. She's like, you need to pray for his wife. I'm like, his what? But
you know what? I'm gonna be one of them mamas.
And then you also have to know that you're a good mom and that you've done it.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, give yourself some grace too. But you're right. No matter what decision they make, you're still sowing that seed.
You can do
it, you know.
And they still may, you know. So you also have to remember as they grow that all you can do is be there and pray. I think the biggest thing I pray for with my kids is that they will have open conversations with me. That if they make a mistake, they won't be so afraid of me that they'll go hide it. That they'll know that
Chaundra,
talk to us.
It's a twofold because I definitely want to have that son that can come to mama, but I don't know if I want him to come to mama. I probably don't want him to, boy, go to your daddy. I ain't gonna want to hear that.
Right, exactly.
No, how about you?
There's definitely times.
And talk to him about that, because I probably start clutching my pearl. I
Well, Brandy, Corey's going to talk to you about it regardless.
Yeah, he gonna tell me.
Find out one way or another.
Listen, dad telling me and my son, I'm like, oh, no, come on, give me a break, you know. But I will be that type of mom. I'm gonna investigate. I'm gonna make sure that you bring the girl home. I'm gonna make sure she's.
I'm like FBI,
you know. I'm checking it all out. Okay, so Jeremiah gonna be like, oh man. So I'm gonna be checking her out, her family out. What they background? Let me look at your credit. What you doing? No, I'm kidding. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. When I met Corey, I was totally different. This was a girl. Yeah, I had some work to do. But one thing I did, I love Christ. And so therefore, I can't prejudge someone on how they look. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, God was still working on me. Okay. So one thing about it, I love God. So I'm not gonna prejudge someone, you know, according to their background, because y'all know that Martin's crazy. Okay. And so Corey could have ran. He could have packed his bags and ran. But however, I do want to make sure they got some fruit and they know Jesus. It don't matter about what you did before. What you're doing now is what matters and what counts. Okay. And so we got to make sure, even y'all out there that's single, stop trying to, you know, rub up against Bob and Joe and Curly. You know, take your time. Make sure it's right. We so quick when we over 30 to get married to anybody. Take your time, girlfriend. You know what I mean? Because you need to make sure the fruit is good. Make sure he walking what he's saying. Because it's a difference when you in a marriage. Sometimes people change. So therefore, you want to make sure you got what you got and he good right now.
That's good advice. Yeah.
I had 9 men that said they was my husband before I got married. So I could have been tricked by.
Did you say 9 men?
9.
Oh my goodness.
I say 9. One of them said God said it. And I'm like, boy, do you even talk to God? Do you even know Jesus? Boy, God didn't tell you I was tricked.
Meanwhile, Corey had your business card and he still does in his wallet.
Hey, listen, my husband rolled up on me on church. Listen, he rolled up on me, y'all. And he was like, I had gave my testimony at First Baptist Church. My sister actually knew my husband. My sister that's supposed to be on her job. That's a hot mess.
I know, I'm sad that she's not with us.
Yeah, she's not. She knew my husband before then. So I visited a church, okay? And so I was telling my testimony, you know, about how God delivered me and, you know, from fornication and all of that. And because the pastors at that time, First Baptist Church of Bell with the Birds, they actually asked me to give my testimony. And at that time, I was an entertainment anyway, long story short. And I told my testimony. He rolled up on me. I mean, slid on up in her, hey, you know, yeah, God did this for me. Woo. He probably have a different story. Okay, I just want to FYI. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same, but he might come on here and say a little bit different. I'll let him tell his part, but I'm going to tell mine since I got the mic. And he was like, he had the scriptures. The boy was cold. He knew that word. He was telling me, Ephesians. He broke out everything. You know, he was using all. I mean, no holds bar. Okay, no holds bar. And so he was like, so can I have your number? And I'm like, here's my business card. You know, I took that business card and I treasured it. It wasn't even 24 hours. He called me. And the history is, you know.
You know what, though? That's good because he's persistent. A lot of these men are not persistent like Corey or a husband. Like, there's so many stories I heard that they know you're the one and that's the one that they want. Yes. It's not sweet talk or anything like that. Like, they really, truly, with all their heart, want you. And I think, like, that's cute. Corey was super persistent, you know?
He was persistent. I should call him persistent Harry. Okay. And you know what? But this is the thing. I don't believe a woman should chase a man. That's tacky. Okay. I don't believe in that. I mean, to me, okay, this is Grace's opinion. But this is my opinion. I don't think that a woman should chase. I believe a man should come forth because the Bible says it's he who finds a wife and finds a good thing and obtain favor. It didn't say it's she that finds a husband find a good thing. So I don't believe that you should be chasing, you know, a man. Now, I have not been single in a long time. We're going on 16 years. But Brandy, you know the play. I know you ain't there. Look at her like,
Well, I did. Back in my day, I did chase guys. So,
Brandy, tell me about that. You don't look like
I would go up to them and get their number if I thought they were cute. And my mom's like, "You should not do that." And so I'm just being honest. So, yes, I'm a Christian, but I did do that. I'm tacky. Exactly.
Brandy, what? Now, now I didn't know about this, Brandy.
I did.
What?
Yeah, I was not shy at all. I'm like, but that was also like when I kind of was backsliding. I was like, oh, he's cute, you know. But it definitely wasn't a man of God that I was chasing. It was just kind of pure like looks and stuff. Next subject.
No, we didn't. No. But listen, you being single now, a beautiful woman. Do you have, I mean, because I know like being married now, we see things different, but from a single woman's perspective, do you have like a lot of men, you know, that's unsaved more than saved coming at you?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up. It's sad because all the men that I meet are actually unsaved, and I kind of just feel like I feel like it's just a demonic kind of spiritual warfare. Either that or there's really a lot of men that don't believe in Christ. But once I break that news and I tell them that what's important to me is if I'm going to get in a relationship, it's going to be with a godly man. Mm-hmm. And so I think it just takes them back a little bit. And it's kind of like corny to them, you know, because they don't believe in God. And a lot of people don't. And so when I tell them I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I want a man that's more faithful than I am, that can like help me with my faith and like push me further than I'm already at, you know, it just, to them, it's not cool to them, you know? And so I'm like, well, let me be not cool then, because like, that's how I feel. You know, there's all the guys that I've met since Jesus, really, they don't believe in God at all, or either that or they're Muslim and they believe in God. And I'm like, what God do you believe in?
Come on, Brandy.
God I believe in. And we start talking about Jesus, and then that's where it kind of separates, you know, and I find out that they're Muslim and, you know, I'm not with that. I'm like, my God is not your God. There's one God, and, you know, Jesus can't get to heaven except through Jesus. So everybody that I meet is,
yeah.
I don't even know if I trust Christian mingle. Like, I don't even know. I don't know if I want to pay for $4 because I really was thinking about it during COVID. Like, okay, I'll date online, but even so, like, how do you know that they're really true? You know what I mean? With God and stuff. I pray that God will allow someone to come in my life. But I think like I'm a hopeless romantic sometimes, because I think I want it so bad that I'll probably date Joe Schmo and or something.
Calm down. I mean, even when you, if you being single get to that point, like you said, I don't think once you're like, nah, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll feel like that being single, whereas you do get lonely. I mean, it's normal to get lonely, you know, as a single woman. But I believe if you wait, y'all that's single out there, just wait on the Lord and let him come.
Yeah, exactly.
I could have been that fool with the seventh or eighth one that said that God said. Let me remind you, because now I'm saved and I didn't want to say they talked to God. You didn't talk to God before. But I could have been that one like, well, you know, he got money. No, I didn't care. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, I'm definitely not doing this. And I prayed and I asked God to expose her. I literally prayed. I would pray and fast, okay? Because the spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. You know what I mean? So you can be like, oh, sha-ta-ta. You know what I mean? But that flesh is raging, okay? So I had to go before God and was like, okay, God, help me expose him if he's not of you. I remember asking God to expose the eighth one. And I'm telling you, that night at 2:30, my phone rang. And guess who it was? His baby mama. He didn't willing at 2:30, and the phone rang. It was his phone, okay? And usually I'm asleep. I was up actually praying. True story. I'm not playing. I'm not so spiritual.
I believe it. Like with God, there are no surprises. Like I don't know. He just keeps amazing me.
God and you guys that's not for you. Yeah. All you have to do is pray.
That's why I gotta tell you, I'm sorry I keep moving. I hurt my hamstring a few weeks ago. Like I pulled my hamstring.
Oh, girl, you're fine. Come on.
Sitting is so uncomfortable. And I was on a Zoom call the other day and someone was like, "You're so fidgety." I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Girl, you're fine. It's Girlfraann Talk. Oh,
I didn't even notice till you said you were moving.
Good.
I started looking at you moving.
Crazy. But I will say, Miss Brandy G, I think that this is why we need the churches to open back up. I just kept thinking of one of my leaders at church met her boyfriend and like in the parking lot of church, and she was like, whatever. And she kept walking in and he like waited for her after and kind of pursued her. And he was like, I don't want it to be like creepy and stuff, but maybe next week we could just meet here and sit together.
Oh, that's cute.
Like she was with her mom. And so he's like, and not, all three of us, like, I don't expect you to not sit with your mom. And that's like how they started. And it's been like almost a year later. And they had a little break.
I want to sit with me and my mom. My mom's not moving for any man. Like my mom will be sitting next to me.
You're like, you will have to go. Like, that's why we need the churches to open. Because what are you supposed to do? Like,
I think community. One guy, I will send them when it's time, because at the same time, you know, I know people that didn't meet them at the church, which, you know, they didn't. They met them at a store, you know, and they was actually Christian. But then you have men at the church, and you know, some of them, they can be in the church and be raising, you know what?
Very true. Very true. And that's what he'll tell you. That's why he was like very cautious. And he was like, I'll just sit with you guys first. And he knew he wanted to take it slow. Because he's like, because I know not every, just because I'm at church doesn't mean I'm a good guy. And like, so.
Oh, yeah. I dated a church boy and I prayed for one. And this boy came up and he had like red hair and stuff. So it was very different than what I dated. Not that it matters.
Oh, you know, you like what you like, Brand.
That's not what I like.
Because they started serving together in kids ministry.
No, I didn't like that. I just prayed for it. It's like, okay, he's a church boy, but he ended up being more creepy than the non-Christian boys.
That's scary.
I was like, I don't know.
Wisdom and discernment. Wisdom and
I'm just saying. I mean, I think some of them at church, and they was just as creepy, okay?
Yeah, so there's church boys that are just creepy. So I just, I don't know anymore.
Right? For sure. For sure.
Look.
But you don't want to meet somebody online.
I don't do the online thing, but some people do each his own. You know what I mean? If you do it, okay, make sure it's safe, and you check them out, and you doing background check, and you know, you just gotta be careful online. But listen, guys, this was so powerful and so good. I love the topics that we talked about and being upfront, straight and forward about some things that was on our heart. Time is running out and we have to end. But listen, let me say this. We talked about mental health, and we talk about mental health on a standpoint of Kanye, but it's a lot of you out there that's battling. I mean, battling straight. I mean, it's some people out there at any moment just feel like they're going to lose their mind, okay? I've been there. And it's some people that may be suicidal, that you just don't want to live. Mental illness is real. And I would say if you're out there, one, I need you to get some help. You can go online. There's different mental health facilities that would assist you. It don't even have to be inpatient. It can be outpatient. If you're out there and you're having these thoughts, listen, pick up the phone and talk to somebody about it. And I want to pray for you, because at this point in life, it's a lot of people during COVID that's stuck in the home and they're about to lose their mind because they're not used to being in one place. There's people suffering so bad where there's abusive relationships going on. It's people using